So now I'm joined by the legendary figure that is Orla Mcgrath of the famous Mcgrath sisters from Sarsfields down the road. So Orla, thank you very much for being here.
Thanks very much for having me.
Talk to me first of all about your love of camogie. Where did you get it?
I suppose it was inevitable that we would be interested in camogie with Dad playing hurling for such a long time and being so involved, I suppose, in hurling when we were growing up, and of course Mum played camogie as well. So I suppose, you know, we were watching Dad play with Sarsfields and play with Galway, you know, it was a massive influence, like, to have that kind of a figure so close to you, you know, playing hurling, and you know that definitely I think influenced it. And you know, I think in a household where hurling is predominant, you know, it's just a natural. I think it's a natural progression. You are going to be interested in it, you know. And
your mum played international hockey as well, didn't she?
She did, yeah. Mum played. I suppose her love of hockey started in school in Seamount in Kinvara, and then, you know, it progressed on from there, and she played at Ireland, and you know that was a big, you know, that was a big achievement for her in her own right. We didn't quite pick up the hockey. We didn't really get on board with hockey, but I think camogie was always going to be a dominant one there.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Particularly knowing your dad,
yeah.
I think hurling was going to be the be all and end all.
Yeah.
But when you were growing up, particularly when there were 6 of you, I mean, to be part of that whole kind of, you had your own little team almost setting aside. That creates great spirit and great camaraderie.
Yeah, I think so. I think, yeah, especially I suppose on, like, you know, senior teams growing up along where there's 15 people, but of course maybe 2 or 3 are your sisters. So in that regard, there's a lot more familiarity with it, and it's a lot, you know, it's nice to play with your sisters. And I suppose, yeah, I think, you know, it's a lot easier to practice and to, like, you know, really maintain your game if you have people outside and people with you doing something. Like, you can do, even I think it's even reflective of like training by yourself at the moment. If you have somebody to go with you, it makes it 10 times easier. You know, it's a lot easier shooting with somebody as regards yourself, like, you know.
So would you have an odd row though? Or would you get on, would it always be harmonious?
There's no point lying, there's no point saying that it would always be smooth sailing, but like anybody with a competitive streak in them, like, I think you play camogie, you play competitive sport because you're a competitive person by nature, so there would, of course, but nothing too acrimonious outside. But you know, like that, it was just enjoyable. You know, that's kind of where it was honed, and that's what you did for a lot of time when you're younger.
Can you imagine life without camogie for you personally?
I couldn't. I don't. Especially now in a COVID era. I think, especially since last March, I think camogie has been one of the kind of one of the stronghold ones of the actual permanent figures in your life, and I think it's like it creates great structure. You have a routine. You've such discipline with camogie, and it's such a huge part of your life. I couldn't, in truthful, I couldn't actually see camogie or some form of sport being part of your life. It's to play, you know, when you're playing at a certain level, it does take up a large part of your life. So it's all you're going accustomed to, you know.
You obviously have a great passion, always had a great passion for sport, as we've learned.
Yeah.
But you've turned that into your professional life as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose I think since I was 14 or 15, I always knew what I wanted to put down the CO, and it was always PE teaching. And I know that goes, like, PE teaching goes hand in hand with, you know, but with going to training evenings yourself. I often rob warm-up drills and cool-down drills from something we might have done the night before a training. But so it's a huge overlap, and you know, when you're physically active and you're playing camogie so often, it kind of made sense to go down that route in my career.
So Sarsfields means it's home, it's the world here. But what's happening here in Athenry is important as well, isn't it?
It's huge. I mean, it's such an impressive undertaking, and you know, I wish them, you know, every success, and I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will come to their end of their project. But like, it's, you know, for some counties, some inter-counties, Gaelic, like inter-county ladies football teams, camogie teams don't have grounds, and you see Athenry here aspiring to, you know, develop their own ground, which is just hugely impressive, and it kind of shows their long-term thinking of camogie and their value of camogie in their club. Like, you know, this, like, the environment you have and the environment that you, like, place yourself in is huge, and it's huge for progression. And I think the environment that they will have, you know, with their own grounds, their own facilities, will be huge for a long-term success of the club, and it's so impressive. It's really impressive.
And I'm sure that will have a benefit for Galway camogie as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
It has to, really.
Of course it will. You know, if because it's a camogie entity itself, I'm sure there'll be opportunities for games, for training to help. And you know, camogie is, with regards to pitches, we're not blessed with huge facilities, and that's just testament that the DA was founded first. We use our facilities, but it can only be a positive thing, I think, going forward. And you know, it's brilliant.
Do you think it'll get outside support, as in not just Athenry people, because you're so near Galway, you have a train station, you have so much facilities. I think it's 20 minutes to Galway City or something like that. So I think this opportunity to develop a camogie field will be hugely attractive to everybody.
I think so, and I think especially because it's such a unique venture that it's the first club, doing this. So I think in that itself it'll gain great traction from people that would place value in women's in sport and place value in sport in general, especially for like youth in sport. I think the fact that it's their pioneers and the first club to do it, and it's such a huge venture that I think without a doubt like it's going to gain huge momentum, and there will be support from every corner of Ireland. I can't imagine there won't be.
Now, just be careful with the next answer. Are you going to buy a ticket?
Of course, absolutely.
Good.
I think the prizes are too good not to turn down, to be fair. I don't think it'd be right not to buy one.
Well, I think you'd look very well in a new car and a new house.
I think so.
Well, the best of luck on all fronts.
Thanks, Marty.
And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.